Frontier.
Hello, friends and fam, and welcome back to Fandom Frontier. I am one of your hosts, Handsome Dave.
I'm your other host, DJ Zevo.
And how's your week going?
Week's going okay.
Yeah?
It's been a little dreary outside, some rain, but you know what?
But I love that about October though. Like it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not like miserable. Like I love the
100%.
I love the rain. I don't think that's miserable. Sorry, I love the rain. Like
Yep.
this shit's relaxing to me. So
Yeah, one of those. I'm the same way. Like when you're inside, good book, maybe a record on, and it's raining out. It's like the perfect thing, right?
Back for Blood.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, my current addiction right now. So yeah, if you clicked on tonight's episode, we are talking about anime.
Yes.
I am not too big on it anymore. I used to be.
I wouldn't say that I'm huge, but I am into anime. I really like anime. I'm just really particular.
That's fair.
And there will be some questions about it.
And I'm very similar. Like if it's anime that like I've been recommended, I'll give it the 3-episode minimum. Like I'll try it out just to see if I like it. From there, if I don't feel it, I won't bother.
Yeah.
So,
that's fair.
Yeah.
And also, I feel like right now, too, like, anime's always been huge in Japan and in the East.
Even in North America, it's been huge. Like, there's full-on conventions.
Yeah.
If there's a convention for it,
I did go. I went to Anime Con in Toronto a couple years ago.
Anime North, yeah.
Anime North,
that's a big one. That's a big one here in Ontario.
It's huge,
yeah.
And I mean, but I just think there's even like a bigger. They're like, dude, like Demon Slayer. Well, it just did so much.
It's funny because even when I was at Big B, Demon Slayer blew up. Like, I mean, like one day it was like this sleeper title, and then all of a sudden Netflix gets it, and everyone's coming in, phoning in, asking for Demon Slayer stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I have no idea what Demon Slayer. I still haven't watched Demon Slayer yet.
It's good.
Yeah.
I don't. It's good. I think there are better animes, and I don't understand. To me, it's a pretty basic anime. I don't understand why it blew up the way it did, but I'm happy.
To me, like when I see it, it reminds me of like back in the day. Wow, I sound like such an anime boomer when I say this. Back in the day, it reminds me a lot of like Inuyasha.
Okay.
And like
there's some similarities.
From what I've seen of it, like it looks like a mature adult version of Inuyasha. Like, you know what I mean?
Even that, I would say there's definitely similarities. I would say that it's not the most mature anime. It's definitely for like a teen audience.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. It is gory and stuff like that, but like the way that it's written and the character development, I think would be most poignant for like a teen audience. They would find the most relatability to it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm happy for it because the more that happens, the more there will be a push for newer stuff.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
So,
yeah.
right.
So, as always, Devin. Hi, Penny. Devin has made our questions for tonight. So, we're going to kick it off with question 1.
Yeah.
What's your first question?
Let's start off with, explain to me, in layman's term, what is anime? And essentially, what's the difference between anime and a regular cartoon?
Okay.
Are all anime shows cartoons? And are all cartoons anime? Obviously, you know the second part, but what's the difference?
Oof. Wow, we're starting heavy on this one.
Yeah.
So the anime is a art form from Japan. It is a very distinguished and distinct style of animation. I'm talking like, now there's several different forms of anime. Just like there's several different forms of North American cartoons. Not one cartoon or anime has the same art style.
Right.
It all depends on what you're looking for, because you obviously have your serious anime, or as some of the other people that are listening, this is the only one that I really know, you have the chibi style anime where you have the over exaggerated heads and the small bodies, and then you have like the cutesy anime, and then like the really dark, and then again it's also very similar and parallel to our version of animation here in North America, where it's like, you know, you do have your childlike cartoons, but then you do have your adult cartoons and your dark cartoons, and it's to basically make this art form accessible to all age groups.
Okay.
It's a way of telling a story through art, very similar to cartoon, but you also have a specific age target that you want to hit. Like, obviously there are adults that still watch like Sailor Moon, but like if you watch the Japanese version of Sailor Moon, it's very, very much more mature than the one that we got here in North America. That's just one example of like millions of different titles, but that's probably the best one that I can draw from.
Yeah. I would say that, like the first, when I was a kid, the only sort of adult cartoon that I could think of at the time was like honestly The Simpsons, which isn't even for like adults.
But it's funny, we watch it now, like, this was bad.
Yeah. And then I remember late one night, it was like my first time ever hearing Adult Swim, and I'm like, what is an Adult Swim? Why? Yeah. What is this? And it was at that point, it was just the late night block on Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
And Ninja Scroll, the movie, came on.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, this is so gory.
Mm-hmm.
There's nudity in it, there's swearing, there's guys getting their heads cut off. But I'm like, but it's a cartoon, this is the coolest thing. And I think that was my first introduction to anime. Yeah. And I loved it. I'm like, man, I've never seen death in such detail.
Oh, I know.
Like it was perfect. And ever since then I've been hooked. But that was my first time, and I don't know, I was like 12, and I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
It's funny how you said it that way, because the way that I've described a lot of like anime to people, especially when it comes to like the mature stuff, I'm like, it is basically the Quentin Tarantino of cartoons. Yeah, like they don't hold back, and I like that. It's sometimes it's over the top that it's funny, and sometimes it's just like, oof, that is graphic.
Yep. Which is funny, because the way you just like chibi, like it's literally the opposite. Yeah. When characters, like when they're angry, their hands become disconnected when they're waving their hands get disconnected from their bodies, and they're these little circles just going up and down, and their hair gets exaggerated. And you get shows like, we'll talk about it at some point later, but Fullmetal Alchemist does deal with some mature themes and stuff like that. I know I talk about it all the time.
Actually, we don't, and it's sad, because that's actually one of, if you were to tell me to make a list of top 5 animes to recommend someone, that would probably be between my number 3 and my number 2.
It would be just it listed 5 times for me.
That's fair. But no, again, Fullmetal Alchemist is phenomenal.
It deals with very mature themes
at times.
But then there's a constant ongoing joke.
Ed being short.
Ed is really short. And he does that chibi art style. When he gets mad, he's like, eyes get all crazy.
And you know what's really funny? That's the part of Fullmetal Alchemist I absolutely hate. Is when because like I just feel like they have such, like, regardless if you're watching the original series or Brotherhood, both are phenomenal. Like, both stand up, and both have, like, some of the best writing in cartoons I've ever seen. But at the same time, it's, like, those moments where it's just, like, those exaggerated, like, anger moments. I'm just, like, I'm done with this.
That's fair. It's spoiler warnings.
It pulls me out of it.
Spoiler. Please, if you haven't seen Fullmetal Alchemist, this is a little bit of a spoiler. You find out later that the reason that Ed is so small, that he's actually, it's a long thing, but he's essentially eating for his brother as well, and it's like consuming 2 bodies worth of energy and all this. Yeah. So it's funny because they make all these jokes, and then it gets really sad. Yeah. And then they make more jokes about it again. You're like, it feels weird. Just pick one.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It's just like, stick to your lane. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So that being said, my second part was obviously all cartoons are not anime. It was more of a silly question, but anime. A lot of people that don't, I think, fully understand it think it is just one type of thing, and it is as varied, if not more varied, than our North American cartoons.
Very much so. Very much so.
How we do stuff. Yeah. So, all right, second one, a nice easy one. What's your favorite anime and why?
Do I have to pick one, or can I do a list?
You can do a list, sure.
A list. Well, can you do top 5?
Top 5, sure.
Top 5. Okay, perfect. So starting at number 5, Escaflowne.
Okay.
It's one that gets overlooked, and it's basically because actually my number 4 is Gundam, and I can't pick a variation because I do love Gundam, but getting back to number 5, Escaflowne is basically a medieval version of Gundam Wing, and I really enjoy it. It's a really cool story. It combines science and magic, and very well stylized anime too. Like the fight scenes are incredibly choreographed. And then getting back to number 4, Gundam Wing, same thing. You're just more modern, future, present day kind of shit, where it's like giant mech suits and someone asked me to describe Gundam Wing. I'm like, suicidal teens meets mech suits, and that's basically it. Yeah. I gotta go number 3, Dragon Ball Z. Ooh. Dragon Ball Z is my jam. Like that shit was great. Like I remember running home from school to see Goku turn Super Saiyan for the first time. Like I remember the Cell games. Like I remember everything, and like I would be remiss not to put Dragon Ball Z on this list because it was probably one of the animes that like grew up with me.
And I'm sure most people listening, like that one is big enough that if you don't understand anime, you've at least heard of Dragon Ball at some point.
That's exactly it. Number 2 might be a little controversial for people, and I'm not sorry. Castlevania.
Oh, dude, it's on my list.
Because the thing is, like, it's done. It is an anime, but like 100%. It's done for a North American audience, and it's one of those ones where it's just like, it is, it isn't, it is, it isn't.
Oh,
but it's so good.
Yeah.
And if you haven't, there's only 4 seasons of it. Watch Castlevania. If you know nothing about the games, don't even worry about that. The story is just so well written.
I got a friend at work who doesn't even watch cartoons. Like,
Yeah.
he's not into any of this stuff at all. Like, he's got 6 kids. He's barely got time to do anything. He was asking me about, like, he was buying his son Minecraft, and he pulled it up in his cart. He's like, this is the one. I'm like, no, that's Minecraft Dungeons. Like, no, that's a completely... And I had to explain to him the difference. I'm like, this is like a standalone game in RPGs. Like, what's an RPG? All that kind of stuff. We got this guy to watch Castlevania.
See? Case in point.
And he was like, I don't know what that was, but that was one of the best things I've ever seen.
Right? That right there, like, that's just a testament to tell you how good this is. Like, it's so well done. The anime is beautiful. Like, the animation is gorgeous. It's so fluid.
So good.
My number one, and this is...
I want to see if I think I know what it is. I'm not going to guess. I just want to hear it.
I'd be shocked if you can guess this.
I don't think I can. That's all I want to know.
Afro Samurai.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, Afro Samurai is probably, again, it's another example of North American style anime, but like something about Afro Samurai, like the soundtrack was insane. The movie Afro Samurai Resurrection was incredible.
Watched both. There's technically 3, right?
Technically, but
the first 2 up to the second one being Resurrection. I've watched both.
They're just they're so good. Like Kuma, the samurai with dual swords and a teddy bear head, awesome. Like,
really sad arc.
Very sad arc, but again, like the whole story of Afro Samurai, you can sit down and watch the entirety of Afro Samurai in like 4 hours, 5 hours, and like it's Samuel L. Jackson for one who does the voice work.
And that guy, Ron Perlman.
Ron Perlman, yep, I forgot Ron Perlman because I was also thinking of the movie who has Mark Hamill in it.
Right.
So that's what I mean. Like, you got a stellar voice cast. Like, the story's great. The music is it just slaps. Like, it's so good.
Yeah.
And it's one of those ones that stood the test of time too. Like, I was introduced to Afro Samurai when I was in grade 12.
I might watch this later on today.
I think when I come home from work tonight, I think I'm definitely gonna watch it. But yeah, like I love Afro Samurai. Like, it's just something about it that it's so good. And it was on Spike TV late at night too, and it was awesome. So, you had to pick 5. What were your
so I was trying to think while you were listing them off, because
honorable mention to Fullmetal Alchemist. I know it didn't make the list. That would be probably about 6. But.
So it's funny, when you said 5, I was like, okay, well, now I gotta think of 5. As you were mentioning some, I'm gonna put Afro Samurai at number 5.
Fair.
I completely, everything Dave said, it's an absolutely incredible show. The other thing I want to mention about Afro Samurai in particular, the voice cast was made in like conjunction while the show was being made. It wasn't like they were after. So it's really weird because the way the characters are designed, you can't picture anyone else with their voice after you hear them.
Yeah.
Afro Samurai as Samuel L. Jackson. If they had made a remake and did somebody else, it would be weird to see that guy with a different voice. Same thing with Ron Perlman's, I don't know what his name is in the show, a cowboy of some kind, like a gunslinger.
Cowboy gunslinger.
There we go.
Yeah.
The way his face is shaped, it's almost like a weird anime version of an evil Ron Perlman. Mm-hmm. It's really well done.
Like, you can, when you hear his smile, like when he smiles, you can
see it.
You can see Ron Perlman doing that.
The story itself is so cool. It's like anime, Western anime, hip hop. The music is incredible.
Actually, I take back my 5th. I'm gonna switch 5 for Fullmetal Alchemist because I realized I said Fullmetal Alchemist would be my top 5.
Yeah.
I think I take Fullmetal Alchemist over Ascaflowne. Sorry, continue.
Yes. So my number 4 would probably be a tie between Ninja Scroll. And the other one is my other favorite anime movie is Vampire Hunter D.
Oh God, I forgot Vampire Hunter D.
It's
That's
really
so good.
old, but it is.
The first one or Bloodlust?
Oh, and that makes me think of something else. I would say the first one.
Okay.
Bloodlust is exceptional.
Bloodlust they had a bigger budget for,
Yeah.
so like the anime was much improved, but like for an early 80s anime,
It's a really standalone,
really
neat story.
Yeah. You should read the books; they're really good.
I would love to.
I have the first 3.
It's a vampire hunting vampires. It's
post-apocalyptic too. It's like a steampunk dystopian.
100%. Yeah, I forgot about
really
the hero guys with their vehicle and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's like The Witcher meets Blade
meets Mad Max.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just this dude who's really lonely.
No, he's the son of Dracula.
Yeah.
That's the whole D part of his name is he's essentially Alucard.
And it has this it's almost like Afro Samurai took inspiration from it.
Oh, totally did.
His main companion is his hand.
Yeah.
His hand is this like living creature that talks.
His hand has a mouth in the middle of the palm.
And
it's
it
really
essentially acts as his conscience. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think we should do this. Let's not go there.
Yeah.
It's such a good movie. If you haven't seen it, it's old. But it's well done. And
I think I still have it on DVD downstairs. Yeah.
The voice acting again in this one in the English dub is really, really good.
Yep.
So that's my number 4. My number 3.
That was great. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
just for that one alone, like that was so good.
My number 3 would probably be Hellsing. All of it, whether it's the new. There's a bunch of different versions of it.
Yeah.
I like all of them. Hellsing is the story of it's not a vampire anime that I like. But it's a story of.
Have you seen Trinity Blood?
Oh yeah, I love Trinity
Blood is so good. I have it all on Blu-ray downstairs. It's so good.
Also, Trigun, honorable mention.
Oh, Trigun's great.
So in Hellsing, it's about this vampire that literally is so powerful. He serves humans, almost because he wants to, because he's got nothing better to do.
It's essentially living darkness.
Yeah.
Like what he can do with his body and everything.
They infer a lot of it that, I mean, they infer that he is Dracula, but it's to the point where it's very obvious, but they never actually say it. His name's Alucard, so maybe son of Dracula. But there's pictures when people see how evil it is, it'll flash light and there's crosses and people on pikes in the background. Yeah. So you're like, he probably is Dracula.
You're Vlad the Impaler.
But he fights other evil beings, so he's a good guy, but it's kind of like he's only a good guy because he's so bored fighting humans would be like mundane, so he chooses to fight other more powerful things.
So he'd essentially be an anti-hero.
Yeah, he's an anti-hero.
Yeah, it just aligns with his.
There's a bunch of other great characters in it. There's a butler that's actually a secret wire-using ninja assassin. There's a girl that he turns, again, almost for fun, who, like, can't deal with the fact that she's a vampire for a while, but then she becomes a sniper, and because she's a vampire, she can hold a gun that's essentially, like, the barrel of a tank.
Yeah. Wait, isn't that, like, the police chick?
Victoria.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. She, like, doesn't want to drink blood at first, and she's all scared, and that's, like, a little subplot, but it's kind of funny. And then, she's just his little, like, helper, which is hilarious. So that's my number 3. My number 2, I'm going to go with Castlevania.
Yeah.
Everything Dave said.
So good.
And I honestly, like, controversial, I guess, because it's Western, but there's not many people that complain about it.
But it reignited my love for Castlevania. Because, I mean, Castlevania was some of my first games I ever played, and they were so much fun.
The fact that they took... Essentially, the story of Castlevania is just about the Belmont family.
Yeah. And
they're the family that hunts things that go bump in the night. Vampires, demons, whatever. That's pretty much the premise of the video games. They change from game to game.
To a degree.
Yeah.
Like, it all depends, because like sometimes you're not playing as a Belmont. Like sometimes you're playing, for instance, Symphony of Night, you're playing as Alucard. Or then
I guess the theme
Aria of Sorrow, you're not even playing as any of the Belmonts. Well, I haven't finished it, so I don't know yet.
You're playing, but the story's about killing Dracula.
Yeah.
And often it's like Dracula can't actually be defeated, so your job is to assemble his body parts to build him so you can kill him and
again.
then he'll die for 100 years or whatever.
Yep.
But they took that basic premise and built this incredible world in Castlevania. The story is so amazing. Dracula is done so well.
Yeah.
You feel bad for Dracula. He is not...
They really did humanize him, and I actually liked it.
Yeah.
Him
and Alucard come at a crossroads for the exact same thing. Because Lisa Tepes dies, Dracula thinks all of humanity needs to be destroyed. They do not deserve to live. Alucard thinks the opposite. He thinks humanity is worth saving.
Yeah.
And, he sees the human side. Dracula just sees the monster side. It's very well done.
Yeah.
Them fighting, that scene's incredible. It's sad, though.
It's very sad.
Very sad.
Yeah, and another thing too, especially playing the games, I love how they've translated like all the bosses from that game and the creatures well into anime. Like they did not undersell or underutilize one boss monster or just like cannon fodder creature. Like they used almost all of the ones from the games and they did them well. Like Legion, when they had like that massive bodies, like that was really well done.
When if you've played the games, there's a bunch of like even like main level enemies that are like soldiers that you recognize from the game.
Absolutely.
Like, I know those guys.
Absolutely. And that's what I really enjoyed about the anime. It was like, oh, that's really cool that you translated that well.
End of season 2. There's a song that plays that is like the theme. I think it's actually the theme to Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest. But when that starts playing and the fight starts, you get chills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Number 1, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Yeah.
This story is, I could go on and on about
so
it
this
forever.
this one line, there's two. You'll see Fullmetal Alchemist and you'll see Brotherhood. Brotherhood lines up closer with the manga. The manga came first. But
it's weird because the one that's not Brotherhood, that's just called Fullmetal Alchemist,
they changed. Yeah,
it came out first, but it doesn't follow the manga as closely as then Brotherhood
does.
did.
Yeah,
Brotherhood's I like it better. I like the one that
fair.
A lot of people like the other version of it.
See that because that was my first one, right? And then
Same with me.
then I got into the manga, and then I saw Brotherhood. I'm like, okay, that's cool, but I still really like the original because that was my first, right?
I remember when I finally was able. I was like younger. I had a computer in my room for the first time. I got LimeWire and I downloaded. I think it's 51 episodes. Is the 52 is the original.
Yeah.
I think Brotherhood is maybe 51 or 54. I can't remember. But I was always tired of school.
52 plus a movie.
Yeah.
Yes. Conquer Shambhala.
Which is it's a movie that sort of could happen anywhere during the season.
No, it ties the ending together because at the end of it, that's when Wrath goes off to find out what he is. He goes off with Al. Because, and that's when they go to the Forbidden City and that's when they fight Gluttony.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. Like, Conquer of Shambhala is literally the true ending to the original series.
But at the end of the original series, isn't Ed stuck in like Earth?
Yeah, but Conquer of Shambhala takes place on Earth plus.
How does? Oh, okay, all right, yeah. I haven't seen it in a really long time.
So Al's trying to get Ed back.
Yeah,
and that's why they go to the Forbidden City, and that's where they find Gluttony, and that's where Wrath sacrifices himself so they can open the door to bring Ed back.
I haven't seen it in a while. I hate. There's a weird ending in the ending of the first series, and I do not like that.
It's not weird. It just didn't really answer anything.
Yeah.
Like, it just kind of made more questions. They're like, oh, we're going to do a movie, and then it answered all the questions, and it kind of gave everyone the happy ending.
Brotherhood's just a little... But I want to say the story in this. So in this universe, alchemy is real, but you don't just... It's magic, essentially. Yeah. So people can...
Scientific magic.
Yeah, people can, like, hit the ground, and they put down this transmutation circle, and they can make rocks turn into fists or little things that fly at people. Yeah. Ed will, like, touch a metal bar and turn it into, like, a sword or something.
Yeah.
And it's about these two brothers that do something really bad. I don't want to give away too much of this one. And essentially, it's...
I want to.
Okay.
I want to because, like, that's a main part that got me into the show. So big rule, human transmutation is forbidden. No. You cannot do it. You cannot bring the dead back. You cannot bring anyone back. Like,
one of the laws of alchemy in this is the law of equivalent exchange. And the idea is that whatever you put in, you can only get the same thing out. So since a human soul is not something that has a quantity, it's not quantifiable.
Yeah.
You cannot do it doesn't matter if you put in all the correct ingredients that make up a human body.
You can make the body, but you can't make the soul. Yeah.
Yes. Which people obviously try it, and then there's a whole other story about what happens to those bodies.
That's a main point of it, and it's really good. Like what happens, like the aftermath of it, it's very good.
And the story, so these brothers, essentially just to get themselves back from doing this evil deed.
Their mom dies.
Yeah, their mom dies. The younger brother, Al, loses his entire body. And what Ed does is he sacrifices his leg
and his arm.
Well, his arm was what was sacrificed to do his mom.
Yeah.
And then he uses his leg to essentially take Al's soul and bond it to a suit of armor.
So basically, the youngest child is in this. His soul is trapped in a suit of armor.
He's got no body.
And
doesn't sleep.
Ed is an amputee.
Yeah. But they have this other cool thing where in this universe they have something called automail. Yeah. So Ed gets a metal arm and a metal leg.
Basically, think if the U.S. government founded war amps.
Yeah. And the whole idea of this country that they live in, there's a lot of like broader topics like fascism and stuff like that.
Oh my God, there's a dictatorship. There's like
100%, and it is definitely mocking like Nazi
World War
Germany.
II. There's no, it is. They've literally said that this parallels World War II.
Because the country of Amestris is essentially 4 other countries that have all been conquered to combine this one larger country. There's war in the north. There's war in the south, east, west. Well, not the east is a big desert, but west, north, south. That's the overarching story. But the two brothers, their relationship, the levels of maturity that they essentially have by being young kids is all because of all this stuff that they went through.
Yeah.
So it's awesome.
The
fights, because alchemy is real, is so incredible.
Yeah.
The characters, man. Major Armstrong, like his sister.
I just all I can think about is I can't remember his last name, but the guy that dies and his funeral. Major Hughes.
Yep. Yeah, Hughes.
Yeah, when he dies, I can't.
Yeah.
Regardless of which one you watch, like the writing for it is just so good.
We've already given away lots to say it. He's the one guy that really, really early on figures out.
He doesn't use alchemy though. That's the thing. He's just a normal
regular
human guy.
Yeah. Not everybody can use alchemy. Well, I mean, everybody could, but some people, it's just a ton of study.
Yeah.
Ed and Al, they're learning.
He's just a lieutenant, and he just gives a shit about Ed and Al, and then he discovers this big plot twist, and he tries to tell them, and
every character.
Yeah, it's good. Hawkeye's great.
Yep. There's characters that are like it's really hard to figure out what their motive is. Like, there's ones that you don't know if they're going to be good or bad. Some of them that you think are going to be good turn out to be like bad guys in the end. Some bad guys turn out to be good guys. God, it's good.
No, I wouldn't say they're good guys. They kind of have they are the anti-hero because they have ulterior motives to what the others have. I don't want to ruin too much of it because it is really good.
Yeah. The Flame Alchemist.
You know what I love? Like, one of my favorite characters is Greed in the original.
Awesome.
But what they did to him in Fullmetal Brotherhood, like, I'm like, wow, you made him like that much more important in this, and that sucked.
He's
so good.
He's so good.
What happens to him is horrible.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, Greed. Yeah. I actually cosplayed as Greed when I was younger, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think the Fuhrer is such an awesome character. Okay, we're going too much. You
haven't said number one yet. What's your number one? That was number two.
No, my number two is Castlevania. That was my number one.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. All right.
So I consistently probably watch Brotherhood once a year. I just go back.
Yeah, I do that with the original series. Yeah.
Okay. On the opposite, we don't have to do a list for this one unless you want to. What's your least favorite anime, or at least an anime that you think is overhyped? You can say whatever you want. It's okay. Is there gonna be? What is it?
Sailor Moon.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What?
And this is because I grew up with the English dub.
Susie absolutely and Tegan love.
I know they do. They do. That's why I didn't want to bring it up. I grew up with obviously the English dub. Mm-hmm. And holy crap, did they make those characters so whiny and annoying? And I'm just like, oh my god, kill me now. Like, it got so bad, my dad and I used to call her Sailor Whiny.
That's amazing.
And I just...
Sailor Whiny.
And I couldn't do it. I tried, and I watched a little bit of it. Some of it was cool. For some reason, I was younger. I thought Tuxedo Mask was cool, but he didn't do anything.
No, he never does.
He just showed up and threw a rose and then left. It's like, what did you do?
Yeah.
I love that that's become a meme now because realistically, that's literally Tuxedo Mask.
I never watched a ton of Sailor Moon, but I definitely don't ever remember a scenario where he ever
did
fought
anything
or did anything.
Yeah.
So I was always like, what is this guy even doing here?
Yeah. So Sailor Moon for me, I think, and I
also his name's pretty stupid. He just literally has a tuxedo and a mask.
And that's it.
That's funny.
Sailor Moon is mine. I am not a big fan of Sailor Moon, and I'm sorry for those fans that I've offended, but that's just
mine's gonna offend people too. So
Pokemon?
No.
Oh, no. Wow.
You want to know?
Yeah.
Dragon Ball. All of Dragon Ball. I hate it. Yeah, Dragon Ball Z. And I'll tell you why though. It's because that was on your top 5 list. So yeah, it's not just Dragon Ball. I do not like show and jump or serialized anime at all. We're gonna get into it later, and I'll explain what that is.
I know people that don't like show and jump, so that's fine.
I'll say for Dragon Ball specifically, when a fight is gonna take 14 episodes.
But there's a series called Kai, where they reduce that.
But it's specific. When you have to take a show and then purposely make a chopped up version to make it watchable.
But that's also the running joke. It's like, oh yeah, the planet's gonna explode in 5 minutes. 28
I got a buddy at
later.
work, Dom, if you're listening, who loves One Piece and is trying to get me to watch it. But when they just celebrated their 1,000th episode,
yeah, that's a bit much. That's intimidating.
Yeah, and I've said this before with even shows on I like shows that have an end. One of my favorite things about Castlevania is that there is a complete arc to it.
But it had not only a great ending, but they left it open that they could do more.
There could be more, but satisfied.
I think I'm very satisfied with the ending to that. That was very good. Everyone got what they wanted. Yeah. And that was why I also like Game of Thrones ending to season 8, because it's everyone who had a shitty run got what they wanted, and it was essentially a happy ending.
I like endings that are like that. I'm not a huge fan of open-ended stuff.
Yeah.
It's just me. I'm just one of those guys. I like closure.
No, I get that.
Okay. All right. What is an anime you would recommend to someone who is new to anime to get their toes in?
I have two that came to mind, but I just don't know how I want to approach this. Like, do I want to go classic anime, or do I want to go newer?
Oh, I don't know. Do both.
Okay, so if I'm going to go classic, Evangelion.
Yep, that's a good choice.
The thing is, the best thing about Evangelion is it didn't make my list, I know that, but at the same time, Evangelion is literally a summation of everything that's classic anime. Like, you got your giant robots, you got your aliens. I'm just gonna say you got your big tittied women in it. That's fine, but like, I mean,
that's a big part of some anime.
That's a big part of some, yeah. But at the same time, you have an incredible story. So much so that Robin Williams even said that Evangelion was probably one of his favorite animes, and with good reason, because Evangelion is great. And at the same time, you have so many movies after the series to watch. And the best part about all of this is it's all available on all major streaming services. Amazon, Netflix, Crave. Yep. They all have the Evangelion shows, movies, everything. So if you want to watch everything that is Evangelion, it is probably one of the most celebrated animes next to Akira.
Yeah.
And that's another one I would recommend.
I know he keeps saying yeah, but everything Dave's saying, it's a good one.
Next to those two, and then the other one that I recommend would not necessarily be an anime as opposed to movies. I'd recommend Studio Ghibli.
Yes, that's
anything by Studio Ghibli I would recommend, because it is Japanese Disney that isn't about capitalism. It is very well written. The story is so rich. The art is beautiful. The acting is phenomenal. Like, and it's just something about those movies I would watch over Disney any day.
That was actually my answer. Was anything Studio Ghibli?
Yeah.
I literally got Susie.
And they're all on Netflix now too, which is the best part. So.
Susie, the way that they so there's always these lists of which order you should watch their movies in. One of the easiest ones that I think to get in.
Top three for me: Totoro, Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle.
That's literally mine.
It. The top three right there.
I got Susie to watch Howl's Moving Castle. You got great voice acting. You have Christian Bale.
Christian Bale's in it, yeah.
So these movies the art is beautiful. It is definitely.
And Christian Bale in a Pac-Man, or is that Castle in the Sky?
That's. Oh yeah, who is in it?
I'm trying to, because I know Christian Bale and Anna Paquin are in one of them, but I can't remember which one it is.
Christian Bale. It is Howl's Moving Castle for sure. I don't know if Anna Paquin's in that one. I don't remember.
I think Anna Paquin might be in Castle in the Sky, but two different movies by the way. There's Howl's Moving Castle and Castle in the Sky. Yeah. So.
Spirited Away is absolutely incredible. Every movie, so they're well done. The stories are really cool. The art is beautiful. If you watch any of those and you really enjoy them, there's a good chance that if you broaden your horizons to other anime, you're going to enjoy it.
100%. I would actually say Studio Ghibli before Evangelion. I'd do Studio Ghibli first just to get yourself dip your toes into anime, and then go to Evangelion, because it can be intense at times, but then again, that is the essence of anime. Yeah. Is it doesn't pull its punches.
Yeah.
So.
I said the same thing. Any of their movies are incredible, and Susie loved it, and she's not even a huge cartoon fan.
Taylor's one of her favorite movies is Spirited Away, and that just tells you because
sweet too.
They're just great.
Another one that I would recommend is older. It's very celebrated. A lot of people don't like it a ton, but I still think it's great. Is Akira.
Oh God, Akira is phenomenal. I have the anniversary edition downstairs. It's so good. I want to read the books.
Yeah, me too.
I heard they were really good.
Akira is like. I want to say it's got to be, other than Dragon Ball now, I would say it's one of, if not the most well-known anime. It's a really cool story.
Well, it's all in those shirts too, like the Supreme shirts and everything like that. Like
So that's another one.
Yeah.
So now back to what we were about to talk about before. How do you feel about Show and Jump anime? And do you like serialized anime that can go for 1,000+ episodes? And do you wish there were more like westernized versions of this?
Okay. I do and I don't like Show and Jump. I don't like Show and Jump for the fact that they don't end.
Yes, I want to say too, Show and Jump is essentially just anime that's made for middle-aged boys.
Yeah.
But there's an ongoing theme that Shonen means. I think it means like young boy.
Yeah.
It's for teens, but they don't end.
Yeah.
They go on forever.
My thing is, one of the biggest artists for it, Akira Toriyama. I love Akira Toriyama. Again, he does Dragon Ball Z, he does Monster Quest, he does Blue Dragon. He does everything, and he does Blue Devil too.
Mm-hmm.
I love his art style. He's probably one of the most well-known anime manga artist. I don't like... I'm like you. I like my things to end.
Yeah.
I like there to be an ending.
Any
closure, yep. I'm very much a closure person. So, having said that, I don't like, for instance, like One Piece.
Yeah.
Just end it. Please end it. Like, I get it. Like, somehow they can still make it fresh, but at the same time, it's just not for me, and I just don't understand how something can go on for 1,000+ episodes.
Yeah.
And I know it's still being written, too. Like, the manga is still being released for One Piece. And that's cool and all, but at the same time, enough is enough. Like, even right now, like, I know Dragon Ball Super is still being written, but at the same time, enough is enough. Please stop. Like, there didn't even need to be a Super. Like, you could have ended it at Dragon Ball Z and I would have been fine. And they did GT. It kind of sucked, but kind of good in some parts. I liked it. And then they did Super. And then Super just is insanely weird to me. But, like, it's one of those things where it's just, like, know when to exit stage left.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, that's just me. That someone else could say something opposite.
Oh,
that's
obviously,
fine.
yeah, it's super
But
popular.
at the same time, for me, it's just like, you're done. Stop.
Yeah.
Just stop.
So, my thing is, like, same as Dave, what I'd like to add is, essentially when I said, do you want more? There are cartoon shows. You got The Simpsons, Family Guy,
But those are two things where they've already gone past their prime now.
Yes, I would agree with that, but I'd also say that westernized versions of shows that go on like this, cartoons that go on forever, they're pretty much cartoon sitcoms where any episode can be out of order and it's essentially the same show. There are overarching plots in The Simpsons and Family Guy, but they come and go. The Show and Jump, you can't watch them out of order. There are enemies that come in certain orders, and my problem, big bad guy comes, somebody dies or they get killed, they beat big bad guy, and it just keeps going up.
Yeah.
They're Super Saiyan what? I don't even know what the highest is now.
They're Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan God, or something like that. It's like
so,
a God Super Saiyan with a Super Saiyan attached to it.
Which is like their power level.
And then there's Ultra Instinct, and I'm just like, fuck off.
So, like, the Family Guy and The Simpsons, I don't need closure because it's just a show that just follows out just a family. It's like you're flying a wall in a weird family's life. The Dragon Ball stuff or the One Piece stuff, they do kind of need a particular order, which makes me crave the ending.
Yeah.
You beat the big... When Frieza was dead, you should stop there. I don't watch a lot of it. I just remember him because he was like...
Yes.
Everybody was talking about
Yes
that.
and no, because the next villain that came out of that was Cell, and Cell's probably one of my favorites. I actually really enjoyed Cell because he was basically like, oh, hey, we're going to take the DNA samples from everyone you faced and put it into one being.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, that's kind of cool. I can get on board with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So... Then again, these are called Show and Jump because they're made for teens. So it's kind of a similar version of us coming home after school and there's this, your afternoon.
But that's
block
what I
of
do with Dragon
cartoons.
Ball Z, right? And that's why I enjoy it, because that's what that is.
So I don't like it, but at the same time, if I was younger, I mean, Transformers, Dave and I talked about Transformers before, G.I. Joe, they just keep, there was no ending. They just keep going. I liked watching it. So as an older person, I like my shows to end. If I was younger, probably I would have liked it more. Which is the audience that it's targeted for, of course. So, what do you think is the best manga to anime adaptation? What about the worst one?
So I got two, and they're the same thing.
You already know your answer.
I already knew my answer.
Also, for our people that don't know, manga is, I want to say Japanese comics.
Yeah.
There's definitely more to it than that, but that's a basic answer,
That's
right?
basic answer.
Fair.
That's the paperback version of it.
Yeah.
No pun intended. So my first one, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Very accurate to the manga. Loved it. The worst adaptation, Fullmetal Alchemist, the live action movie.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
I enjoyed it, don't get me wrong, but as like an adaptation of the manga, that was terrible.
I have a very similar answer.
It was horrible. It's Death Note for you, isn't it?
No. Oh, yeah, you know what? I actually don't hate Death Note as much as other people do.
Fair. All right, that's fair.
Mine's gonna, So, my best one, and I can't even believe I forgot to put this in my top 5. Remember, I was just thinking my list off the top of my head. Berserk.
Oh. Yeah.
And it's never gonna have an ending, which is very sad.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason why that is never gonna have an ending, because the guy passed away.
Yeah, I don't remember his name, but the artist passed away recently.
Yeah.
Apparently, he did share with his team what his vision was for the ending, so it's possible they might have like
Let's hope they don't HBO it.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was. What's the fantasy? There's a fantasy writer who's very famous who passed away, and I want to say Brandon Sanderson took over the Wheel of Time.
Yes.
I don't remember. Yeah. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah, Berserk. So that's this incredible story. It's very dark. They did release an anime that does not have an ending, and it kills me because the manga was still going on, and everyone's kept saying like, when are we gonna get another Berserk?
Yeah.
Anyway, the adaptation is incredible. The story of Guts is like one of my all-time favorite stories. The Black Knight, dude who's very angry and just carries a giant sword. He's not super powered. He's just so mad that his pure will is rage.
Literally rage.
Yeah. Worst one, Avatar. The movie.
Yeah, that's.
And I know even saying Avatar is a very westernized anime, but it is beloved by many people, not just a Western audience. It does well ever. And the story, the Avatar story, Nickelodeon Studios, is great. It's great. Another good intro if you're getting an anime. They did a live action version. M. Night Shyamalan actually did the movie.
No, he didn't.
He didn't?
No.
Who did it?
I'm just saying he didn't do it.
Are you sure?
No, he did it, but I'm saying he didn't. I'm in denial.
Okay. So
it was that bad. It was horrible.
I was like, wait a minute, am I wrong?
No, you're right, but
it's so bad.
He didn't do it. It was horrible.
He's done some bad movies.
Yes. Very bad.
The Mist was a little bit controversial. I think it's a great movie.
He didn't do The Mist.
He didn't?
That was Frank Darabont.
Oh.
That's a Stephen King novel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was. I thought he did
Frank
it too.
Darabont directed that.
What's a one that
Lady
Signs?
in the Water. Signs is great.
I like Signs. Oh, I'm saying it's good.
Oh, okay. I thought you were telling. So for me, his good movies stop after Signs, like Unbreakable, Sixth Sense,
I like Unbreakable.
Signs.
Yeah.
Those were all good movies.
Yes.
Lady in the Water, started seeing it go downhill. The Village.
Okay, there we go.
The Happening. Ugh.
Yeah.
Like they just even the Devil with the elevator. That one was just okay. It wasn't great.
So yeah, Avatar's really
bad.
Yeah. So.
Oh, and not to mention he continued it with Old. Old this year was horrible.
Yeah. Okay. What is a... It's going to be a weird answer for mine, but what's a Westerner comic that you would like to see turned into an anime? And is there an anime, this one, because most anime come from manga, but do you think there's an anime that would make a good comic? Okay.
It's the same answer.
Which one is it?
But it worked already.
I think we're probably getting the same answer. Do you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Ultra Mega.
No, that wasn't mine.
Yeah, because I'd love to see Ultra Mega as an anime, but Ultra Mega already is the comic for Ultraman.
I hope you're big fans of ours because we've talked about Ultra Mega before.
Love Ultra Mega.
It's an absolute incredible fever dream of insanity.
It's an adult version of Ultraman, but like, the gore is just amped to the roof. It's like Quentin Tarantino directed it. It's so good.
That's a really good answer.
Yeah. But for me, I would love to see Ultra Mega as an anime, but the comic for that already exists because Ultraman is Ultra Mega.
Yeah.
So that's my answer because it already exists.
Mine, I kind of have two. They already kind of did it. I don't know what the series is actually called, but when they turned Batman, they made what's the cartoon where he becomes a samurai?
Oh, this is Batman Ninja, I think it is.
Yeah, I loved it. It's essentially it's a cartoon, but I don't know if it came from a comic or not. But I love that cartoon.
I don't think it did. Actually, I'm trying to think if it did.
So that one, or if they The Last Ronin. I know that is a comic, but if they could turn that into an anime,
there's some good artists that would make an amazing. Oh,
The Last Ronin, we've talked about it.
Answer
is a comic where there's one Ninja Turtle left, and he's the last Ronin because everyone else is gone. It's a very dark version of the Ninja Turtles.
A couple weeks ago, I just read the second to last issue, and after reading that issue, I can absolutely see this series as an anime.
Yeah.
And it would be so good.
Ninja Turtles meets anime? Come on, right?
Absolutely.
And for an anime...
Great answer on that one. Holy shit.
Everything that I can... I don't have an answer for an anime that they could turn into a comic, because everything that I love is already... I would like... So, I guess if they could turn Berserk, because it's already a manga, but if they could turn it into short stories, a comic, and get some different artists... I would love to see that, especially as like a tribute.
Yeah, actually, that'd be really cool. That'd be really cool as a tribute, actually.
Yeah. I would love to see somebody try. I would love to see a different version of a drawn Guts, and like he's on a journey. I'm not going to get into everything he's doing, but little short stories about him going to a town and something happens there, That would be really cool.
Yeah.
That would be, yeah.
I love that, actually.
So this one's kind of weird because we already kind of talked about it, but what's the best place to get started watching anime? And what's a good place to go to start with manga? Like, where would you get your manga? Where would you watch your anime? I'll go first to show you kind of what I mean.
Yeah, because
we were talking about how
anime... Are you
anime...
talking about, like, platforms?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, or places like...
No, I got this. Yeah. I would actually recommend for watching Netflix right now has been great. Like, I would obviously say Funimation or Crunchyroll because those are literally anime specific.
Anime, yeah.
But if you're already paying for Netflix, go to Netflix because Netflix has
stuff.
some great anime on there, and I 100% stand by what they have. For getting your manga,
do you just go to a comic book store?
You can, but I would actually recommend Indigo. Indigo has been
has
really
a huge
good lately.
Selection.
I got Tegan's art book there.
Oh yeah,
the Jinji Ito.
So she loves it, by the way. It's on her shelf right now.
There's so much to, like, for instance, like, 'cause I love Jinji Ito. We'll get into that later, but like, they have everything of his. Like, there's not one thing Jinji Ito they don't have, and I'm like, this is awesome. Like, and I was picking out something for Tegan. I got myself his new book because it was right there on the shelf, and I'm just like, their anime section is massive, and they have everything, and I'm actually really impressed with that.
Yes, and pretty much I would say the same
for like
thing.
a North American store.
Yeah,
I'm really impressed with that.
If you're new getting into anime, Netflix has a lot of older titles, newer stuff, and they self-produce a lot of anime. The only issue I have with that, a lot of the anime they've made gets canceled after one season, and if you're like me and you like endings, it is very heartbreaking.
If I had to recommend an independent store though for finding manga, Conspiracy Comics. Conspiracy Comics is a great
shout
anime.
out to Conspiracy Comics.
Yep, they've got a great anime section there. Or manga section, sorry. So 100%, like, they have like almost a full wall of manga. So yeah, if you're looking for manga and want to support local, I'd recommend Conspiracy Comics.
Cool. So the Netflix anime original stuff, like Blam was really good, but I don't think they're gonna make another season of that. Knights of Sidonia has a couple seasons and it ended, and I love both those shows, and I'm mad that there's no more of them. I don't know if they're gonna make more, but Netflix is really quick at being like, watch out.
They're doing phenomenal.
So when Castlevania got an ending, I like wanted to cry because I'm so happy it has a proper ending. And I would agree with the Indigo thing. It's crazy that such a massive chain, I mean, they want to go with whatever's popular, so I'm happy to see that stuff there because it's obviously selling. But the selection for at least the popular stuff is huge, and most of the other stuff, if you know something, they're probably able to order it.
For sure.
So
absolutely.
And then my last question before we get into book club, really simple one. What do you think about like anime collectibles?
They're weird.
Yeah.
They're really
That's
weird.
what I wanted to. Some of them are.
There's some that I'm really interested in. Like, when we go to Japan, I really want to hit up some gashapon machines. Yes. I think those are really cool.
Yeah.
Some of them though, like, I just look at them and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Like,
they're different. They're different than a lot of the collectibles.
I love one thing that I do love, Gundam models. I love putting together Gundam models because those are fun. The weird big tittied anime women that you would put around like your house, that's weird.
Yeah.
Even some of the chibi characters where you have like the over exaggerated heads and the small bodies, it's a little cute, a little less weird than the big titty anime.
Sometimes a lot of big boob, big butts.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
The seductive poses and everything. I'm like, that, like, that screams I'm alone.
I feel
I'm sorry, I was so mean, but like that just like
some of them are pretty
I look at them and I'm just like, oh god, someone's so lonely.
Yeah. It's just like some of them you might even like appreciate the artwork, but you're like, I just don't want this in my house.
There's honestly, because there's like a whole series where they redid like all the slashers as like hot anime women, and I'm just like, that's cool, but I don't want that in my house.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I pretty much agree. Some of them are just,
seeing
and I mean, this
Beetlejuice's
is
big old titties. I'm just like, oh,
this is coming from two grown men who have tons of.
I have collectibles. Like, this room is covered in collectibles, but there's no anime.
3, 4,
like
5, 6, 7, 8, 10 Star Wars helmets over here. So yeah, like it's not like we're not into like having our quote unquote nerdy stuff out, but some of those are just like
there's just that level I don't want to go to, and nor do I feel like I need to go to, and I'm just like I'm comfortable where I'm at.
All right.
Book club.
Yeah. So
Book club I'm super excited for because I was just talking about him. We are going to be reviewing Romina by Jinji Ito.
Yeah.
Jinji Ito is a big name in Japanese horror. He does a lot of books like Uzumaki, Tomi, Gyo. Romina just came out this year in February. I scooped it up when I was at Big B Comics and finally sat down to read it. And then I'm like, this would make a good fandom episode. So, Devin, what did you think of Romina?
So I don't read a lot of...
I don't read comics anymore.
Yeah. So I don't read a lot of manga either. I read...
Same. I only read Jinji Ito and that's it.
So, like, Jinji Ito, like, from what Dave's been telling me about his other stories, so...
The only reason I gave this to Devin was because his other stories are massive. Like, they're thick.
And they're weird. And, like, they're really... His
Devin only has, like, a day to spend on book club, so, like, I wanted to give him something that he could read, kind of get the vibe for it, and then we'll go from there.
Long enough, but,
Yeah.
So, here's how I would describe it. His stories are insane. Like, the plots themselves are just crazy. Romina is about... a scientist who discovers a planet or a wormhole.
No, it's a planet.
And then a planet comes through it.
Yeah.
And, he says it came through our solar system 16 years ago. On the same day my daughter was born.
Yeah.
So he's going to name the planet after his daughter. So he calls the planet Romina, calls his daughter Romina. Spoiler alert, the planet is some giant sentient evil thing and starts coming towards Earth, eating all the planets in his ways. All the people blame the daughter and the father, say that they're the reason the planet's doing this. They're calling it, and they start this witch hunt, and they want to crucify them and all this other stuff.
Like, any emphasis on witch hunt. Like, it is like...
The whole Earth
Earth is trying to kill Romina now because they think if they kill her, it's going to stop this planet from eating theirs.
Yeah, before all this happened, too, Romina was very popular because of all this stuff. She's a very... beautiful girl, so she was getting agencies to get her to be a model. She had fan clubs.
But she had no talent, though. That was the thing.
She's literally just a person.
She was named after a planet, or a planet was named after her, vice versa. But
somehow she has this giant fan club.
Yeah. And a creepy dude that's super rich.
So the story itself is crazy.
He's Oprah rich. Like,
his parents have a massive underground
a bomb shelter that can survive the planet blowing up.
Yeah.
I don't understand that, but it's there.
Yeah. So, then about the artwork. So, you know what it kind of gave me vibes of? So, manga and the way that they, like a comic, when somebody gets punched, everyone pictures the Batman, like the slap bomb and all that. That is like, that happens to an extreme in a lot of mangas.
Oh, God,
something goes swoosh. Even the way they draw the word swoosh is like it's getting pulled somewhere. Mm-hmm. It gave me a little bit of Ben Templesmith vibes. The way that the art is not the creepy part of Ben Templesmith, but that everything is, you're kind of reading it through like a blurry lens. Because everything, so this planet is blowing up.
No, it's funny, I've never realized that until you mentioned it. Now I'm just like, wow, maybe that's why I actually like Jinji Ito.
Yeah.
Because a lot of his work does read like that. Because it's funny, because when I read Romina, I'm like, oh wow, the art is actually a lot more cleaner than the rest of his books.
So that's crazy that Dave's saying that, because in Romina, the art, like when the planet is getting destroyed, you're not seeing this clean picture from above of a planet cracking. You're in the middle of it, and all you see is
see everything.
You don't even really know. You're like, I think that's like half of a building, and there's
a
piece of a street.
And not to mention when the ship lands on the planet Romina, and like you actually see what Romina looks like on the surface.
Yeah, it's like
I think Willy Wonka, like
evil Willy Wonka.
Evil Willy Wonka that went goth.
Yeah,
like it's messed up.
It's super weird, and it's
meet
like
Silent Hill.
It's like you're there. Any of the characters that you're with, it's like you're one of them, and you're not, because normally in a comic, whatever, you're like God. You're in the fourth wall. You're viewing everything through that. Romina feels like you're like another person. Like when Romina's being chased,
you're part of that
with
chase.
The people chasing her. Or if you're from Romina's point of view, you're looking back at everybody. It's just done really well.
I'm sorry. Can we take a minute and talk about that chase? That I just
okay, yeah.
So there's a point in Romina, and this almost lost me. I'm like, I rolled my eyes because the planet Romina gets so close to our planet, it fucks with the gravitational pull. And, like, you can essentially fly for a temporary... So, basically, this guy's trying to save Romina, and he's, like, pulling her while flying. And then there's this angry mob of people flying after them because of the Earth's gravity. And it's just, like, it's
They literally... Somehow they're able to breathe and stuff, but they're skipping continents.
I know, and
because Romina licked the world and made it spin faster.
I hate to say this, but it works, but it's so dumb.
So
and I'm just like,
for somebody that has only read this, like I said, the comic, like some of the Ben Templesmith stuff is more grounded. Just his art style gives you creepy vibes.
Emphasis on. But the thing is, I think that's also because of our culture.
Of course.
I feel like this would be more grounded in Japan, whereas this isn't grounded compared to our stuff like Ben Templesmith.
Yeah, so I want to put it with Dave that this chase, by the point I was reading it, I wasn't thinking, man, this is so ridiculous, because everything up to that point was kind of so insane since it started.
Yeah.
Romina never gets a break. You're hoping that she's finally, because she's not a bad person. She feels bad about all this. She doesn't want the fame. That's very
not her
obvious.
fault.
She constantly says, I don't want this, and it's essentially peer pressure to get her into it.
Yeah.
She finally accepts it and all that, and she doesn't like any of it. She's also like us, the readers. She doesn't understand why she has all this, why people love her so much. She doesn't get it. So you think she's going to get a break at some point, and it ends with this random, well, he's not, at this point, random homeless dude just holding her while she's passed out with millions of people flying behind her, chasing her, and then a bunch of other stuff happens. But it is insane looking back on it. But while I was reading it, I was like, oh yeah, the mask guy's still, he's pretty close. He might get her foot. Flip next page. I'm like, oh yeah, that's somehow I'm accepting all this as normal because the rest of the comic is so wild.
Yeah.
It's a good comic.
Yeah, it's good, but like I said, like it's not one of my favorites. Like the only reason I chose this because of time constraints. If we had done this well in advance, I would have totally given you Uzumaki or like Tomy. Tomy, for example, I think is probably one of the best ones I've read by him. And like I have the T-shirt for Tomy, I have the T-shirt for Uzumaki, and I love both. Like they're both great, but like Romina was just like, you know what? It's short, it's pretty good. You'll get the general idea of what you're getting into.
Yeah, I liked it. It was wild.
It was wild. But the
recommend?
biggest, I was to say, would you recommend?
So I'm gonna say yes.
Yeah, it's a loose yes this time.
Well, it's not even that. It's just this one is like a lot of the stuff we recommend. I think would definitely apply to a general audience.
Yeah.
This one is really weird. So if you're into that, I would super strong recommend. But everything we've said about it, from the crazy artwork to the story itself, is wild. Mm-hmm. It's the best way I can describe it. I don't even know how a person thought of this as a story. Like this, there's one point, like I said, where before the chase, Romina has this giant tongue that comes out and it licks
the
Earth.
Planet, not the girl.
Not the girl, sorry.
Yeah.
Because they're both, yeah. Planet licks the Earth and causes it like to spin, like it's spinning like a ball, and that starts this whole, when it gets closer, this thing where they're essentially superheroes and they're just flying now.
They're flying around, yeah.
It's pretty funny.
They can fly through buildings and not get like hurt by it. I'm like, oh my god, what the fuck?
So yeah, it's a combination of very wild, but also if you like take a step back and look at it, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Even though it's a sad, like dystopian story, it's kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
Reminds me, actually, when I saw Romina with the eye, you know what it reminded me of? Fullmetal Alchemist.
Yeah, that's fair. It's totally fair.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of eyeballs. Hellsing does that weird eyeball thing too. It's very popular.
It's a very popular thing in anime. Yeah.
Eyeballs being all stuck together and weird stuff. So.
Yeah. So recommend?
Recommend.
Yeah. I'd recommend it. I'd recommend more stuff before that one for if you want to get into Jinji Ito. But if you're just like, hey, should I pick this up? And that was the only option. I'm like, yeah, pick it up. It's pretty good.
Okay, you know what? This was book club, and then Dave already explained why he gave it to me. If you were to recommend a starting Jinji Ito book instead of Romina, what would you recommend?
Tomy.
Okay.
Tomy is just, it's phenomenal. I don't want to give it away too much, but it's about a woman who's so beautiful that men fall in love with her instantly, but are driven insane by her beauty, and they murder her, but she keeps coming back. And like it's a series of short stories. Some of them are connected, some of them aren't, but it's a series of short stories about how this woman's died like hundreds of thousands of times. And like, she's not a nice woman, just letting you know that. Like, she is completely vain, she's a little psycho, and it's just like, when you say that out loud about what she is, you're like, oh, that sounds horrible. But then you find out that she knows what she's doing, and she is essentially evil. Yeah. Like, you feel a lot less sorry for her. Like, when you first start reading it, you actually do feel sorry for her. And then after, you're just like, oh no, you know what you're doing. You're a dick. But it is probably one of the best Jinji Ito books I've read. And again, Uzumaki's up there too, where this entire town is cursed by a spiral, and people die in the shape of a spiral, but like differently. Again,
stories. I told you, stories sound insane.
I'm doing a terrible job describing it, but like if you look up Uzumaki or Tomy and see the art, that'll pull you in. And that's what did it for me too. It was really good.
The only other manga I ever read was Berserk. Like we said, I can't remember his name right now. I'm not good with names, especially Japanese ones. But he recently passed away. And it was a big deal in he's big name. So any of the Berserk mangas in order, they were almost serialized. I can't remember how many are out, but there's lots.
I think there's like 6 or 7 hardcovers, like the full deluxe hardcovers of them.
I would recommend that. The Story of Guts is a sad but incredible story.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Awesome, guys. You've reached the end of anime. The sun is getting lower. The sun is getting low in the sky, so lower your swords, put away your dice, and power down your consoles. You've traveled far on your adventures. Now rest your weary heads. Good night, folks.
Good night, folks.